I definitely used to be a person that said, win what you can, get what you can, save as many as you can. But I've now just really realized over the past few years how terribly inconsistent that is. I think the pro-abortion movement sees that as terribly inconsistent as well. And I think it's hard to take a movement seriously if you say something is murder, but you don't act like it. The overwhelming majority of women, about 65% of people performing abortions, are the women themselves. So, it used to be that the majority of abortions were happening inside of abortion clinics. And so, the pro-life movement said, well, we've got to go after the doctor. We have to go after the supplier, the person that is actually supplying the abortion, the person that's actually, killing the baby, the person that's doing the damage, the person that is, killing the baby, the one holding the instruments, the one giving out the pills, right? Like that's who we're going to have to go after. That's the one we're going to have to prosecute. Well, what happens when it's the woman killing her own child? What happens when she's the one checking the boxes and ordering the pills and paying for it, and they're coming directly to her address, and she's never talking to a doctor because she's the one that is solely responsible for the death of her child? Like, she is her own abortionist, and that's happening in about 65% of the cases now in our country. So when the woman becomes her own abortionist, so then we have this reckoning in the pro-life movement, that's been, I think, brewing for a long time. And that kind of comes to the idea of victimhood. Are women victims? The woman that uses abortion as birth control, is she a victim? Or is she making a conscious decision to have an abortion? And I do think that this is where we kind of get into a generational divide, because there are a lot of women that had abortions in the 70s and 80s and, even the 90s, and they really didn't know what they were doing. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have, social media. We didn't have ultrasound images available to us. Women really didn't know what they were doing. And they really were, I think most of them at that time really were victims. They were, victims to, just doctors. Doctors weren't telling them, like, we're actually performing an abortion. They called it a menstrual extraction. They said all of these things. Women didn't have ultrasounds available. It was just kind of this ignorance. It's not that way anymore. Women, every woman that has an abortion knows she's pregnant with a baby. They all call their babies babies. The majority of women that have abortions have already had an ultrasound of their child that they abort. They are celebrating the fact that they're aborting their babies. They're having abortion parties after they abort their babies. They're taking videos of their abortion and posting it on TikTok. These are not victims of abortion. We go out to abortion clinics and, we say to them, like, please don't do this to your baby. And they're flipping us off and saying, I can't wait to murder this kid. These are not victims of abortion. And we are saying two different things in the pro-life movement. We're saying, women are so strong and they can do whatever they want and they can overcome any challenge that comes in front of them. But they're also really stupid idiots that can't figure out whether they're pregnant with a baby or not, and they're all victims. So it's kind of one or the other. Either they're strong and they're independent and they can figure things out on their own and they can overcome challenges, or they're dumb idiots that can't figure out how to open their phone and figure out if they're pregnant with a baby or not. But it's not both. It's kind of one or the other. And I believe women are strong and incredible. And I was not a victim. I've had 2 abortions. I was not a victim. I was just selfish. And the majority of women having abortions today are selfish. They're doing it for personal gain, for personal reasons. Because we just, in the movement, are not ready to treat abortion like murder. We say we are. We say abortion is murder. We call it murder, but we don't want to act like it's murder.